Yeah, it's weird, man. But I think kids growing up on a budget, like having like realizing how hard you work, and like trying to make ends meet, is so much better than we kind of, you know what my kids are dealing with, where they don't realize like Amazon. Oh, I want this toy. It shows up the next.
Did you grow up with money?
No.
So
we go to Chili's, and you know I was a fat kid, and I loved the full rack of ribs and the chocolate shake. I knew my mom was paid if she didn't have a problem with it. If we'd sit down and go, I'm getting the ribs and the shake. Which, you know, at Chili's, especially back then, it's like, Jesus Christ, dude. My mom's like, no, you're not. We're going, it's chicken fingers and you and your brother splitting it. And I'm like, oh, Mom didn't get paid.
Yeah, I could tell when we didn't have money, too.
And it's triggering for me now. Like, if someone talks about money or being broke, it's super triggering. And, like, shoes, too. Like, I remember we were at, it must have been like a Ross or something. They had these Airwalks, and me and my brother won. We were begging my mom, crying. She's like, I don't have the money.
Yeah.
And I feel so bad about it now because we're begging my mom to buy the shoes. She's like, I literally don't have the money.
Can you imagine? So now that you're a parent, I remember saying that to my kids. It's so... At the same time, when you're older now, as I'm older, I look back and I go, I'm glad they had that experience. I'm glad that they know that things aren't free and everything doesn't come easy. But at the time, as a parent...
I can't imagine.
It's one of the most, dude, I will tell you, one of the hardest 5 minutes of my life. I was on something called WIC, which is basically a food program here in California where you can get...
Like food stamps?
If you have young kids, you can get formula and things like that, right? So I had my WIC stuff, and I was at Ralph's. And, man, I used to go to Ralph's during off hours. So there weren't that many people there, or maybe I didn't see somebody I knew. And there was a woman behind me, and she was just trying to be nice. And she was like, let me pay for that for you.
Fuck.
It was I was like, no. Oof. I said, it's hard enough for me to do this.
Yeah.
I can't have a stranger.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
I know.
And I would, by the way, if I'm her, I offer the same thing without realizing how it makes that other person feel.
I've done the same thing where I saw this mom with a kid. I could just tell the kid looked dirty. The mom didn't have all his shit together, and I was like, and I fucked up because in my head I'm like, I'll pay for her stuff. It's gonna give her a huge break, and I bet she can save the money, do something else with it. And she's like, we're not, the food's going through. I went, you know what? I'll cover hers, just charge that, and then charge mine. She goes, no, thanks.
It's hard.
And I was like, what a dick. And I was saying like, it's an ego thing.
It's so
Don't
much
you think
about
it's like an ego and like pride.
Because at the end of the day, man, I still want to feel like, I mean, like a man isn't the right word, but I still want to feel like
provider.
Yeah, and now I can't even do that.
Oh, I know, dude.
And it was really, there was a lot of real, at the time, this is going to sound real weird. At the time, I was like, I can't wait. I hope this is over. I'll do anything to get out of this situation. But I look back and I think, I'm so glad I went through that.
Yeah, I bet.
I really am so glad I went through that.
And having kids now and dealing with what I deal with, and then I remember my mom, we'd be like, we're starving, Mama. We didn't have food. We're like, we're starving. She'd write a check and it would bounce.
Yeah.
To feed us.
Yeah, dude. I will get, when I start talking about this too, I try. It's heartbreaking, and I think about it, and it's heartbreaking to know that there are people all around who are hitting that right now.
Dude.
And I can only tell you from my experience from doing that, I would sometimes look at the week and go, okay, the first 2 days of this week are going to be 1 meal days. For me, I'm doing 1 meal. The kids are going to, I'm going to break that 1 meal into 3 for them, but I'm going to eat lunch. Right. And to have to navigate that. And I was so concerned about the kids. Right. And so I remember talking to my dad, and my dad was like, they'll only know you're poor if you let them know.
If you let them know that this is a shitty situation.
You're poor, yeah. He said, now when they get older and they go to school, especially in LA, but as a young person, he said, tell me what is, at the time Jacob was like 2, he's like, what is Jacob's favorite toy? And I'm like, honestly, if you gave him an empty refrigerator box and 2 balloons.
It's on.
That's it.
Yeah.
And he was like, just remember that.
I know.
It's not the amount of when you go to these big parties and they have ponies for their kids and birds. The truth of the matter is the kids would have just as much fun at a certain age.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I remember my dad, That's why I'm so into Broncos. He had this Bronco that he bought. My dad worked his fucking tail off. He was like pursuit of happiness. He'd go door to door selling all the shit. Then he had this Bronco. It was used, but it was a 2-door Bronco, and it was tan. And I remember his brother worked in cars, and he had the decals put on so it looked like an Eddie Bauer version. He put the Eddie Bauer seats in it, and I thought it was I was like, we're so rich. So I'm like, Papa dropped me off at school, and I'd get out like, what's up? And the kid's like, what? What's up?
Listen, dude.
Like, dude, is that a 2-door Ford Bronco? Like, yeah, it is, dude.
Can I tell you something?
What's up now, bro?
Can I tell you something?
What's up now? So I
posing with pictures,
I'm all. I do have pictures of me washing it. I used to wash it all the time. But when the new Bronco's coming out, I was like, dude, can I get it in tan? Because I want to do the same thing.
That's super cool.
Like, we don't offer tan, dumbass. Like, that makes sense.
Yeah. Why would you?
Yeah. But I could do it. I could have someone do it.
When we were growing up, this is when I thought my dad ended up with money. We went from no car. We had to borrow a car to go shopping. And our neighbor who we borrowed the car from, get ready for this dick move, was like, sure, you can borrow the car to go shopping, but your kids have to clean my house.
Oh, God.
Come
on, bro.
Right?
God.
What a dick move. Okay. But I will tell you, by the way, you know what the trigger for me is? Because I could tell when my parents had a little bit of money because the potato chips in the cabinet didn't just say potato chips. We used to go to this place called Price Chopper.
Yeah.
And Price Chopper, it would just say beer. And you know what I mean? Potato chips.
Like we didn't get mac and cheese. It was a black and white box and say macaroni and cheese dinner.
Yeah.
And it was black and white. And like, this looks bootleg. Yeah. Where's like the cool dragon in blue and yellow?
Yeah. Where's Nemo?
Yeah, what the fuck, man? There's none of that.
Dude, I remember when my
when
my dad got a job and we got, ready for this? We thought we were fancy. We got a brand new Honda Accord. Maroon. No, maybe burgundy. But
when you're a kid, it's like new car. It might as well be a Lamborghini.
Come on, dude.
That's a new car.
Honda Accord was.
Isn't it strange?
Fresh.
But your kids now, I'm sure they appreciate it more than ever, right? Because like Jacob's like hustling, right?
Jacob is hustling, man. He's out on the road right now on an Amazon Prime show as a PA, but he's traveling to all the national parks. My oldest son is in the Army.
Yep.
And my daughter is a vet assist. My daughter, ready for this? My daughter used to live deep in the valley, so off of White Oak. She had an internship, unpaid internship, in Santa Monica at a vet. She had to take 2 buses that took 2 hours there and 2 hours back
Jesus Christ.
To get her to a non-paid internship because without going to school, that was the only place in the field that she wanted that would give her a chance.
Yeah.
And that hustle...
Nuts.
Right? There are a lot of people we know, grown people, who are like, nah, I'm not doing that.
Oh, hell no.
So, there are certain things that I feel like I truly believe kids learn more from watching us than from listening. I agree.
Set an example.
Yeah.
That's what my dad did.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Like, my dad wasn't a verbal dude, but I learned from watching.
Agree. How about when I got off stage at the Laugh Factory? Right away, you go, bro, I figured out what you look like. I'm like, what? This is from a bunch of other comics. I'm like, what? You're like, you look like a Rottweiler who got his shit together.
Oh, you do, bro. Yeah.
Come on, man.
I'm just saying, dude.
Grab that mic, son.
You do. Look, bro, look.